Hi, One Best PR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. It's week 12 in the NFL. We are talking with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com, one of the best in the business, having a great year at his website. He'll tell us more about that after we get done analyzing the game we're going to discuss right now, New Orleans and Houston. Joe Duffy, this is a tough one. I feel like I have a good read on most of the NFL games this week. This one is tough, though. Texans got a win over the Jets, right? TJ Yates was fine at quarterback. The offense was kind of dynamic. They took some risks, and it was effective. DeAndre Hopkins was fine as well. And the defense, J.J. Watt played well. The defense played pretty well for Houston. So, in general, I think that Houston, in general, looks pretty good at the moment. And the Saints, I definitely was fading them big time in their game against Washington before the bye. But now they're coming off a bye. How much of an improvement will they get from that? I'm not exactly sure. They lost their last two against spread before the bye, but before that, they had been on a 4-1-1 ATS run. So the Saints do have some history of doing well ATS this year. Right now, it's Houston -3, total 47.5 or 48. Joe, what do you make of this game?
Well, Peter, this game makes me a little bit nervous, too, because at first glance, everything would say this game would go over the total. The Saints are just historically abysmal, especially against the pass. They allow 8.5 yards for pass. The team's normally getting 6.9, and that is just a horrible ratio in the NFL, especially this late in the season. And it's not like they can stop the run either, giving up 5 yards for a rushing attempt to teams that normally get 4.1. Now, I know Houston's got a pretty good defense, but they've spent a lot of time on the field this year, so they haven't really lived up to their potential. But the fact that they're underachieving and maybe showing some signs of coming to life all of a sudden says maybe the over isn't as obvious. But at the same time, look, as you said, DeAndre Hopkins, I think he's maybe the most underrated offensive weapon in the league, and he has the lesser of three evils. I mean, Hoyer, I think, is the best quarterback that Houston has had this year. He's going to be playing. So Houston can certainly attack that weakness. But, gets back to my golden rule. What I always say, that the rest benefits the teams that need it the most, or in this case, the unit that needs it the most, the Saints defense. Plus, you always get that short-term spike when there's a firing. And, of course, Rob Ryan was fired as a defensive coordinator, which I think, will probably have a positive short-term effect. So if this game were played a week ago, it wasn't with the bye, and New Orleans hadn't fired Ryan, I would say I would probably be liking the over to the point of it being a premium play. But because of those kind of quote-unquote intangibles or long-term metrics that point towards the under, I think I'm going to wind up having to pass this one.
Yeah, I was leaning towards the under as well for all the reasons that you just stated. Both teams, though, have been pretty solid overtrenders on the year, 6-3-1 ATS. And I'm just thinking that Texas, even if Texas does play as well as they played last week and they execute their offense as effectively, it's still, the kind of game that they play limits possessions and it's relatively conservative. And we got a very high total here, 47.5 or 48. So what's your read on the Saints? How much of a benefit do you think they'll get from the bye? Do you think they're going to come back and be a strong bet? Because if so, maybe the Saints +3 would have some value.
Well, their defense literally can't get any worse. And that's what I always say, one of those golden rules, that the obviously the line and the total are taken into account how bad they've been this year. So in reality, all they have to do is play a little bit better on defensively to put the game under the total. Yeah. And I do think, the Saints, because they have not been a complete team, the bye did come at a good time for them. They should benefit from the bye. So if anything, because like I said, I kind of had conflicting stuff on the total, maybe if anything, the Saints would probably be my strongest lean here, because I do think the unit that is so weak should benefit both from the bye and that, as I said, that short-term spike from firing their defensive coordinator.
All right, Joe. Well, we have a line of Houston -3, 47.5 or 48. It's going to be a pass for you, right, Joe?
Yeah, I think I'm going to let Peter Loshak make the official pick for the purposes of this video.
All right. I'm going to have to hold my nose when I do this, but I am going to give under 48 as an official pick. Could easily go over. If it goes over, it's not my favorite play of the week. And also, I think this one, the line, just because of the Saints involved, the public might bet this one up to like 49 or 49.5 by kickoff, right, Joe?
Yeah, and I would say that if the line does go up, it might possibly make it into a decent enough play to fade that line move.
Right. Joe Duffy, interesting analysis as always, and your interesting insights do translate into profitable plays at your website, OffshoreInsiders.com. Right, Joe? Tell us about that.
Yes, and as always, I seem to forget to write down my records. But with the Monday night winner, we did have the under, completed the week 12-6 in college and pro. We've had winning weeks, most weeks in both college and pro football. Spectacular week. Of course, it's a great week for us because we fade the myth. There are a bunch of myths about rivalry week, etc. Anyway, just visit us at offshoreinsiders.com. See the incredible weekend we have in college and pro football.
Sounds good, Joe. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter.